that's working with products, Ursula as the testing representative, but there's an entire process. It's not complicated, but it has many faces, and so I think that next year we'll bring in many more people. So we are all set out, all right? Yes, well, you've taken half of my speech. We've been coordinating all this, all right. Well, the idea then is that you put faces to our names. And of course, we can talk along the corridors, but we are going to be here around the place, so there is no problem if you want to contact us. Mauricio, very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And you've got a question. Well, it's a tradition that I don't want to miss. An advantage of being old, as I am, is that I've had the opportunity of being in the forefront of any technological advances. I haven't made a mistake in studying what I did, because I've seen many interesting things. In the case of GeneXus, I've witnessed right from the outset, together with Berta, when we were talking about the idea of modules, and that's when we started to get to know one another. And I've seen how this technology has matured until what Armin presented yesterday or day before yesterday, where a consolidation of the ideas we had then occurred. And in this event, we've seen many things that had been born or had been developing for many things. One of them is modules, and that's a disruption. The other thing has to do with GeneXus M. That's very hard work, and that it started something very little, and then it became a strategy. The impact that you've said, that you've mentioned here, is not only the product of last year's work, but the work of very many years. And yesterday, to be next to Nicolas, because he arrived late and he sat next to me, I don't see him. No, he's not here. No. So perhaps he's somewhere there, but I witnessed how a Japanese bank with 8.5 million users, which is more than the population of Costa Rica and Uruguay together, presents GeneXus as an important part of its digital change strategy. I think you can feel very proud, and I feel very proud because I'm Latin America, and I also feel very proud to have known you along many years. So in the name of developers, I would like to congratulate these people because they've done an excellent job, not only this week, this year, and for many, many years. So before asking my question, I would like to ask for a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart that I've been accepted as a family. And when they say they walk along the corridors to answer questions, that's true. You're not going to have that in any important company, technological company, that you can talk with people who have been working with development, and they've always answered my questions, any question, in the silly questions. My question now is, well, there have been very many new things, and it would be good if you could tell me about the roadmap that we can take once we get back home in December and start getting up to date. Because I feel that if I've already told my developers, if you don't start working straight away, next year, by mid next year, we're going to be lying behind if we don't get up to date. Because I've seen this, people who stayed on in GeneXus 15 or even in GeneXus 9, and I think that's very important that we keep your pace, because the technology that you are releasing is what we use on the streets. But please give me a tip. Start here, go on and do this other thing, so that we know how we can get updated. I'm going to be brief in my answer. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much. Because this is not the work that we've done this year, but we've worked for many years so that this revolution finds us as strong as possible. So thank you again. As Anna said, we are very enthusiastic to see you again, very many known faces. What I feel is that although we have this question of AI and we see it so close, and I was in San Francisco a few days ago, as I told many of you, and I think that if we are here today, we are really first class in the things that we are doing with GeneXus. So I feel that our timing, although it's been a year since the release of GPT, as we said, I think that what we are releasing in GeneXus Enterprise AI is very good to see what techniques are being used and that we are making available so that you can implement it. That's something that has to do with AI, but perhaps that's the newest thing. But I'm not only concerned about this, but I think that you must be concerned about things that have to do with systems architecture. For instance, everything that we showed here about the observability, our systems are becoming more and more complex, and you have to know what's happening. And the question of modules, this Resona project in Japan uses several KBs, and we have to know what's happening there. So have to look at the modules. The question of architecture, we have to understand that the cloud is there to be used, and in normal infrastructures, traditional infrastructures, we've got them. Our generators have been updated, luckily. It's more of the same using GeneXus, but I feel that sometimes the architectures that are set up are missing some things like security, observability. We have to give time for those things, and in testing development we have to give it time to build things. We've included things in our KBs to test, and so the successful projects that I can see from Resona and other products that are being used are going through lots of testing. Perhaps they're not in the limelight like AI, and that's what's new. And we cover that with GeneXus Enterprise AI. But today you're going to be we're going to be having talks about AI. Banisa and things that refer to architecture and mobile, and I think that what I can tell you is that developers should not only develop but also understand what's been built with all the non-functional features of the systems, because the functional ones, I don't know what your business is, and I can probably recommend precisely that. Try to be close to the observability and DevOps for testing, and to give importance before starting anything. Think about working lines, how you can go from one line to the other, and set up the process, because that's the only thing that will allow you to work fluently in a real system, in real time. And it's not only the development of features, and to highlight just one would be very particular. The rest is a general thing of building a system that works, a modern system that works. Thank you. Well, the list is infinite, but there is one that I was thinking about when you were talking, and that's APIs. I was very much surprised of what we could do on the basis of an API and how it understood me. I tested it with OpenAI, and how it automatically understood when it had to call the API, and the API for a system. And we made a system together with Daniel Monza, and as from that API, I declared it, I stated it in ChatGPT, that animal, the new when it had to call API and solve all my questions and answer in natural language as if it was an expert in the subject. So I think that changes things a lot. That's something that's available in our KB, in our GeneXus. So look at APIs. I think that to have APIs is an advantage to face the future. Alejandro Panizza, in fact, is going to give a talk about that, and you can go deeper into everything that involves APIs. I would like to stress something else that Gaston said, which is fundamental, which is mobile. Well, he said it also. I think it's fundamental that when you start KBs from zero, from scratch, if you have large KBs, you're going to be able to mobilize it because large monoliths start having problems. I think the people from Chico had a talk yesterday, and it's a must. It explains very well the various ways of having a communication among the various modules, and it's important to start modularizing the KBs. Hello, good morning. I'm from Integral Web. I'm as old as Mauricio because when you made reference to COBOL, we felt we belonged to the same generation. I would like to ask you something which in our company we are suffering a little bit at present because the ideal thing is that all our apps have the latest versions and the new developments, in particular in mobile applications, are up to date. But there are some apps that, because of the installed base, are a bit more difficult to be updated. GeneXus Server has definitely been a hit. It has improved a lot in the past few years, and we practically have no incident in relation to upload or download things. But I don't know whether you've thought about this fact. When I define a repository in GeneXus Server, I can say on what version of GeneXus is that repository. Not in general terms, because at present I have to hire two GeneXus servers, one for 15 or 12 and another one for 18 in the last version. But if I had just one, I could take advantage of the various containers I've got, because at present, for 15, I'm just using a few spaces of KB, while I could take advantage of them and define in a precise way each one of those KB containers.
Yes. Fede, would you like to answer? Yes, that's the best answer. Yes, once we have this radar, the plan is to separate the GeneXus server because of its architecture. The service includes the business logic of GeneXus. So at the time of updating, logic runs. It has to do with the business logic of GeneXus. It understands the objects, validates them, etc. And that business logic corresponds to a given version. So we are tied there, as you said. But the plan is to separate the orchestrator of operations and the business logic that processes the recording and reading of objects. So if you receive a commit for a KB, for a certain version from a given user, it controls the permits and so on, and will have available different versions of business logic. So depending on the KB, it can process each operation. Good morning. Marcelo Kleiner. Armin said, ask Gaston this question. So here I am. I have several others like you. I will kick it back to the rest of my colleagues. I'm very happy with this event, with the idea of getting together again to be witnesses of progress made by the technology. But I consider that 90% of current developments will be on products that have been developed and will have to do with updating and maintenance. And one day, those products will become newer. Along those lines, my question is there a possibility for AI, in addition to interpreting human language, to interpret the existing KBs and help us migrate them and update them? I think that is a tremendous potential, both for us, the consumers of GeneXus, the clients, and also for the GeneXus team. So you have to do less maintenance of previous versions. I also interpret that it should be possible to train an AI to help us migrate the same product to versions 18, upgrade 5 or 7. Thank you, Armi. You're a friend. You're a friend, no doubt. Well, in fact, saying no in the world of software is something that is not done. Today, some people have raised that same question. If migrating 9 or 8 or 6 to 18, why don't you do something that's automatic? Well, in fact, the AI models are trained with a lot of data, especially the basic model. We wouldn't be talking about fine-tuning a basic model to solve this type of problem. We would need a lot of information. And today, we know that there are many KBs worldwide, but we don't have access to all that knowledge. So, as time goes by, we see that there are many rules when you want to go from one version to another. I'm very pragmatic in this sense. I think that we have been accumulating those rules. When we started converting from 9 to 10, which was the greatest leap forward, in the others we have smaller rules, and it wouldn't make sense to use an LLM with them because we don't have the information to do that. So I find it hard to have a generative intelligence to do that conversion today. This is how I see it today. We have done some kind of fine-tuning around open KBs. We have access to those, but we don't have access to millions of KBs or millions of tokens. The KBs are proprietary of our customers, and we have no access to train or do something that will not be supervised or will be automatically supervised by learning. We cannot do something like that. You are dreaming. I would like that to happen as well. But in the meantime, we have to collect rules, probably accumulate more and more rules, and use the conversion processes we have today. While you were speaking, I was thinking, maybe you should go to the core of the issue and not think about the technology we use to solve it, but think of the problem, the basic problem, like decoupling a little bit more, and using some types of generators. Well, let me see. Something that exists already, and you need to convert it to assist. This is what I was referring to. How to stop this and migrate bits and parts, as Ignacio was saying today. How would I like to build KBs in future as modules? And also, Today, I have to transfer everything or nothing, and that is an obstacle, a difficulty when I want to translate a KB to another version. I go from 18 to 19, from 19 to 20. That is not realistic if you have large systems. And I don't want to transfer certain parts. I want to transfer mobile but not web because it requires more testing. So in those cases, we are working in a side-by-side generators, as Armin says, to move an iOS or Android version, but not the whole KB, or maybe transfer one specific part of a module and not all the modules. So we need to analyze that more in depth. It's very complex. But maybe sometime next year we will be releasing what Christian has been designing. Maybe we have a possibility to download different versions from a generator without changing the development environment or the business logic. That will open the road so as to prevent this issue from happening in future. He mentioned, not in the specific case of those conversions, but you mentioned an opportunity to take advantage of the information that we already have in a KB. We will research a lot more. We haven't made much significant progress, but for the time being, we are creating assistants that will allow us to modify things within the KB in the context of the user. But we would like those assistants to use the information that is already available in the KB. And we went one step forward. We also have an opportunity to store not only the KB content, but also beta information, conversations of users that led to that content. So we not only have an object with characteristics, but we can also know what were the requirements of the user when he asked for that. So these are all opportunities to use that potential, and we are researching that more in depth. Not working? Nicolas said we had GeneXus 1920, but he doesn't know whether we'll get to GeneXus 28. There is a natural sequence in the process, and this concern becomes very important for us. I have a 30-year-old company. From the very first days, we used GeneXus. All we do is with GeneXus in my business, and all my customers use GeneXus. At that time, literally, that was what we trusted in. So how does GeneXus Next plan to work with this type of KB with over 70,000 objects in the cloud to make a local reading in order to generate other objects in GeneXus Next? Will it be slow? Will it be very heavy? No, I don't think so. It depends. First of all, what we are doing is our infrastructure has containers, and the containers need not be far away or be slow. In fact, the K providers may have a container that is very slow, depending on the infrastructure where it is being hosted. And the conversion below GeneXus, GeneXus will be in .NET 8. And the increase of performance speed is enormous. Claudio, am I spoiling your presentation? Yes? Okay, please attend his presentation. There are many, many things, many technologies in the cloud that support this, that come up at the time of performance, and they come free of charge. Whether the systems are on premises in a cloud or a remote cloud, thus very much engineering working to support performance and use. What we are doing with GeneXus, M in particular, what is today GeneXus Next, IDE that we have. The knowledge base may be close, in a container, in your own machine, or it could be remote. It's not only the development environment that is web local. It could be local in your machine, in a Mac, in a Linux system, running with a very light operation system, with all the bases that are light. It's not going to be new. So as a developer, I am waiting for a Mac M2 or machines that will be used that can run all that is containerized with optimized language for the performance, and I'm waiting to see that. We cannot measure enough to answer with a number, but we are sure that the development environment that has been created. Yes, Germán will have a presentation at 11:45, and he will talk about this. It will work much better than what we have today. It has been used. I'm certain that it's going to be an architecture that will work fast and will scale up, and we will be able to meet your needs depending on how much we have in the cloud. And I'm waiting for that to happen within companies, and I'm waiting for containerization that allows us to have a more dynamic GeneXus versions, will help us also deal with different types of KBs and provide flexibility in the use of GeneXus. We need to change the friction existing today in the different versions. I agree with you. But looking into the future, what Ignacio said before, we are not waiting for building 70,000 object data KBs. We want more components in different KBs so that we can manage them well, so that they are manageable in future. The ones we have need to be managed, of course. That's it. Thank you.
Let me clarify something here. It should work in the same way. You're going to have a local version. You're going to have a local KB. It must work the same or even better. It doesn't change. Although you have the version that you can generate things in the cloud, it should work in the same way. Now, once again, a KB of 70,000 objects, while it would be good to have a module, little by little, get the web or the other parts out, because it's true that some technology that are being used now, such as, for instance, the bit tools that we had in Java, we had its own bit tool. It could be, too heavy. You need too much memory to compile. So it would be good to start, taking out from that KB, taking out things. Hello, Juan Garzón. I've got two questions, or a proposal rather, for GeneXus server to add the possibility of going through the different versions, grouping KBs, if we could have a tool outside. Is that on your roadmap? And then yesterday we saw the plus that the editors added, Word Plus, and it would be good if they were in the present editor, the rules, events, suggestions, to show the parameters, formatting data, collapsing very quickly with shortcuts on your keyboard. You know, some improvements in the editor that we're using, because 50% of the time is the rules and events. Have you thought about that for the present editor, not only for the new web version? Let me answer first about requesting a GX server. There is no date exactly, but it's on our board of things, dashboard of things that we have to do, yes. And I would also say that next to that, we have the entire flow of the process. Yes, it's running. Now, I'd also like to add that it's not exactly .web, we're far from that, but we have the possibility of making a commit and take it to another branch. We still require some features around that to have better follow-up of what is mobile and not. And some time ago, we started implementing a possibility that can allow us to trace what commits have already been green changes, and we're still developing it. It hasn't been released yet. Now, as regards the editor that you asked, I don't know what the improvements are of Wordy Plus, but I think in 17, 18 we made some improvements in the IDE so that when the parameters are shown of a function and a logic, the descriptions are included, the ones that you include and define. If you say that the parameter is a variable that include a description, that would also be included. There's going to be a talk, Herman. You're going to have a talk straight away, right? Strategically speaking, we are going to be at the IDE that we are building is also for Windows, so on, and the editor or the editors, not only that one, but all the editors will be first class. Like mission study code and so on. We're not thinking about putting in too many more things at the Windows IDE at present from the edition standpoint. Perhaps some features. I know what WordPlus has, and it's very good from that standpoint because it extends more and but truly the distance between an editor now, like the one we are in the IDE cross-platform that we are making, is so big that you have to stand on top of it to do far more than that, and special visualizations, autocomplete with AI and co-pilots, and we are waiting. You're going to see what it's like. And we are working the IDE of the layout, and the truth is that there is an important distance between what we could do with Windows, that we could do those three things, but there is a ceiling, there is a top, and here there is not. So focusing about this cross-platform IDE is released as soon as possible. So that's our idea. Hello. I would like to ask a question about, well, we are very enthusiastic about AI from now onwards, and many talks refer to that, but it's not very clear to me. Perhaps you can help me in the road to take from now onwards. What's going to be released? GeneXus Enterprise AI. That's what I should, when I get back home on Monday, I should start trying it out. I should wait for next to be released. I can download it, I know. So how can I move forward in that sense? Can you help me, please? Well, the announcements were the following. On the one hand, you mentioned AI, but let me start somewhere else. Super apps, that's already been released, and it's all right for people who want to convert an existing app made by hand and make it a super app. That happened last year. Now this year, what we've already released is that from GeneXus you can make a super app apart from the mini apps. That's released, right? Now the other thing that's been released is GeneXus Enterprise AI. As you said, next Monday you can try it out and move forward. Then what's coming next, and if we want to have, I'm sorry, the other thing that's also available is that if you go to next.genexus.ai, in natural language, you can do everything that Jose showed you in his talk on Tuesday morning. So you can make the entire construction, you can build it, and you have the back office that will be ready. Now, what we're going to be doing is in the first quarter of next year, we want to have a beta version for the addition of what Herman is going to be showing you. Is going to show you now in a little while. You know, the IDE cross-platform. Herman is going to be talking about that, thinking about the IDE, the front, and then Christian is going to be thinking about the back and all the multi-platform. You know, below. That's something that we don't know whether we'll be able to do it in December or probably early next year. That's going to be ready to be able to test it. And then the other thing that we are preparing, and there are talks because it already works in the developers' machines, as we say, there are some plugins of Sigma, one that accelerates the design process, and the other one that given a design that is ready, just with a button, it would take up the prototype, and so we would, from below, we will get all machines based on GeneXus, and they would generate a code, generate the design, and show the designer the final design. So designers in the first quarter next year, they're going to have a beta version of these products, and we're going to continue improving them for the two things, to improve the entire design process. And then, given a design, we could make a prototype without having to go through the developer in the middle and up, and so accelerate the cycle. Maximiliano Barnet's talk and Damian Salvia's talk, he's over there next to you. Yes, he's going to be talking about that. Am I forgetting something? Can I make an announcement? If you want to try out new things, I can see that you're enthusiastic about it. You can try out the new versions of the back-end generators that we're going to be releasing soon. You can have a preview of that, and there you can see how you do with the new performance. And if you are testing Java, you can probably look at the beta version, and it would be good to have an input of things that can be solved. And then I go to your initial question. There are also things about open telemetry and things that have been released that are important in the use of the system, apart from the IDE. And it's important to monitor our apps. And what Armin said, and I would like to underscore that, I think there is not much use of the API object. There is something called the object, and allows me to make integrations. So when there is a radical simplification with the interface, with chat, for instance, what you are asking from our system is an API. So how can I define an API with GeneXus? How can I put it in the network? And how it's important to make good descriptions to all our objects, to panels and to everything, because descriptions are important so that AI, if you want to make an analysis of the KB or whatever, understands what things are, and they can call them automatically. So specific issues, if you are not using API objects, do. If you're not using telemetry, please do. Or use cloud services with GeneXus. If you want to get connected, well, try out, use storage, different services in the cloud with free layers. So there are many things to test that are small, but it's fine. And we even put something in the service protocol that, token by token, you can get an answer when you are communicating with an LLM and the connections are slow. There is something service-side streaming. So there are many little things that are put in with an important goal to be used from APIs, etc. I would also like to point out that on Monday I have to continue watching videos of talks. So are we. Yes, we are also going to do that. It's 4 hours of talks. Yes, so very good. Thank you for your question. No Netflix at all. Oh, no, please let me watch Netflix this weekend. Okay, weekend, please. We've got 5 minutes. Last question, Gaston, over there. I've got a question, a specific question. Yesterday, I attended a talk of Angular, and it caught my attention a lot that we continue talking about panels with Angular. Shouldn't it be more natural to continue with web panels? Because at present, most things are being developed for web, and wouldn't it be natural to make a transformation of the web panels I've got at present to Switch or Net, Java, and to make it natural to transform them to web panel so that Angular can recognize them and upload them instead of. I remember that mobiles started with mobile, but they're also being used for Angular. Yes, well, that's a very good question. The thing there is that when we started with smart panels, the architecture that was set up and the features that we had in the modeling made us think that it was a better abstraction than web panels, where web panels behind didn't have a services layer, but the services generate an interface, and they create an interface in the server side. Now, from the dialogue standpoint, you know how the interaction model works, and what we did in the panels, well, it could be any type of panel, in fact. So we decided to take that road, and what we are working on is that there is a safe panel to make a conversion, but truly some changes must be made to be able to start a dialogue and to start, the architecture precisely of services, having a dialogue with a customer that could be Angular or language that communicates with that services layer where the render can be server side or customer side. Now, what we had before, we had server-side many things and generator.net. So we had Java writing the HTML from a server. And in fact, the world moved from one side and also on the other side. And at present is hybrid. And we've got that hybrid thing at present as well. So yes, that could be a road. That's the road we've taken. And what we are doing is thinking about a conversion later on, and we strongly recommend the Angular generator. Yes, the talk about Angular was yesterday, and we use panels because originally, as Gaston said, have a larger abstraction level than panels, and they have a modeling of UI that is much higher, and it's better to simplify UI to something that may be equivalent to all the platforms, and that's why we talk about smart devices. Anyway, we are working, and I've also said it in my talk, we are working on a convergence of those two things. And as Gaston said, at a certain point we'll be able to make the save us. But what we want is to get to the save as, and move from a web panel to a panel in a more transparent manner. And that was the question precisely. So what we have in the web panel, to move it to panel, right? Is that the idea?
Yes, Ale said this in his presentation. This year, we knew that for front office we had a generator ready, but then there were many, because not all the things in the web panel's information was wrong or poor. In some cases, they were even better, and there were things in the panel that were better in turn. So now we're merging, a conceptual merge of the two worlds, so as to have automatic filtering. But that is good, not bad. So we have to bring it to what we are doing. The web panels are of a lower level, if you like, to give you a quick explanation. So we try to put them as high as possible, while the panels are a better alternative. That's the criterion. Anyway, yesterday I mentioned that we still put things at the level of the web generator and for the web panels. We are trying to find a balance of those two objects so that at some point they merge and we have only one. We are not yet close to achieving that. We are attempting to achieve that. We want to have Angular using panels and working in the same way as the web panels. Finally, I've seen that there has been much development in Angular, but we still it needs a lot to be similar to other generators. So by what time do you think you will be able to keep a balance of all generators? A very good question, and very hard to answer. The first landmark was to balance the functionality of web panels and panels for the Angular generator. And in this case, we have the filtering of the web panels. They had a fixed part and a grid. We already have that in the panels. First, for the Angular generator, and our plan is to do the same with all the other generators that are based on panels. That is the first step to somehow balance the way panels work. The next step will be to solve other issues we face, like transactions and what we will do. And we are still defining that, so I cannot give you any further information. All I can say is that we are looking for an alternative to be able to express or to say that we have a transaction at the level of a panel, but that has not been defined yet. Sometime next year, we will see if we can get close, if we can get those two models closer. If they are similar enough or equivalent, then we will get a mechanism so that you can get a web panel and save it, somehow migrate it. But that's one of the big jobs we have ahead of us. I work mostly with the Angular generator, but we have a web generator which is very good to solve some kinds of back office applications which are complex. And we have an Angular generator that solves other types of applications. And we would like the Angular generator to get closer in power so that it can model, it can be a framework or API GeneXus to express the same and generate the same as the web generator. We would like to merge them. Thank you. All right, time's up. So thank you for coming. We can continue our discussions and exchanges in the corridors. We'll take a selfie. Let's innovate. We are innovating this year, so come closer and we'll take a picture, a selfie with all the development team. Thank you.
No se caiga nadie, por favor. Ese día que iba a venir.